Hi Cancer, welcome to your end of November 2018 Tarot Update. I'm Raina. I don't even know if I should be telling you this. I just realized when I was looking at my memory card that I thought I had already recorded your reading yesterday, and then I realized I had to stop after I'd laid out the cards, but I just scooped them up and I did another sign. So, oops, I did it again. Okay, now this is going to be the Wild Unknown Tarot deck, and then I'm going to pick a Universe Has Your Back Oracle Affirmation card at the end. Oh, well, there's a fine how do you do. The first card I get, the Death card. I actually like the Death card now. This deck, it's pretty hilarious, though, how they depict it. Wow, you got some heavy cards for the first three cards. That's like unbelievable here. A lot of black and white too. This deck, Wild Unknown, has a lot of black and white, but they do have, here's an example of some color. I'll be holding up the cards. I know this is a weird angle, but I got a jacked up tripod, and I don't have one of those overhead thingies to show the reading from an aerial point of view. Okay, the Heart of the Matter is the Death card, which, look at that. Is that gruesome? Is that a gruesome sight or what? But that just makes me love it more. Kind of a little Gothic influence here. So the Death card is a card of transformation. People, I think by now they understand that physical death is not, that is not the main theme of the Death card. Because for most of us, death is not something that we are experiencing all the time. I'm talking about even, obviously not with ourselves, but with other people. But we do experience the death of a dream, the death of one phase of our life. If you have been a parent for 18 years and your first child, or maybe your only child, goes off to college, that's a death, because it's going, you know, it is irrevocable change. There's nothing you can do to kind of stop that time from marching on. And so physical death is nothing to be afraid of, but psychological death is something that is, that sometimes that can be very challenging, can't it? Like if you have ended a relationship. Actually, I'm thinking of a Cancer person myself who I guess is getting divorced and initiating it. And I'm like, I just heard the news of this and that long, long marriage. And I'm like, whoa. You know, it really makes me sad to think of it, because the two of them were married for so long and they've known each other so long. I don't know, you know, what she's going through, but I wish her well. But that's an example of somebody personally who I know who is going through major upheaval in her life. And I really do think that astrologically the influence of Pluto has to be really looked at, because Pluto is in the opposite sign of Capricorn, so it is opposing the sun. And that is going to definitely create some kind of a mirror to look at the shadows, and it can be extremely challenging for some people because they've, you know, busied themselves. I think especially if you're an older Cancer person, you know, with this, in the last 10 years with this Pluto transit opposing your sun, this can be more challenging than if you're like 35 and you have 2 kids, because you're like really focused on that. But when you're older, you have more time to think. And if there were things that you kind of didn't want to think about, maybe even from childhood, they may come up in some form for you to kind of have to integrate them. With oppositions, we're talking about integrations, because when two planets oppose one another, they are kind of like magnets. They're bouncing off of each other. So, I mean, it's hard for me. I hope that doesn't sound too abstract, and I don't want to get to, I'm trying to do this reading. But it's just like, kind of like wanting, it's like bipolar, wanting to, being at two different extremes in your life of maybe wanting total freedom and wanting to be deeply connected to someone, and wanting both of those things equally so. For whatever reason, what you're going through, who knows, but you have to be able to tie those together, bring them together, and honor both sides that want those things. That's the best way I can put it. So let's just keep going, and we can see what else is happening here. Okay, we have here at the base of the reading the Five of Cups, which is a card of grief. So it is possible that some of you have lost a loved one, I suppose. Anybody in your life, whether it's through death, through actual death, maybe you are mourning the loss. Remember, this is not looking at the future. This is for the end of November. So chances are this is something that has been ongoing for a while. Or maybe the impending death of somebody who's in hospice, and you know that the end is near, and you're just going through it now. Actually, to be honest with you, the more that you can be conscious ahead of time, I think the easier the end result will be, because you will have already gone through a lot of those emotions, and it's not going to, it's different than if it's like a sudden, accident or that leads to death, and you don't have any time to prepare for it and things like that. This is something that you may have been mourning the loss of something for a while. It could even be not physical death, but the death of a relationship, as I stated earlier. And regardless of what is happening, you're feeling it. And of course you are water, so the cups really speak to you. And there's not much else to say about this. This is part of life, is that we mourn losses. And how we mourn them is going to differ from person to person. The important thing is to realize that even if this was a relationship and the person isn't physically dead and they are still going on with their life, and you may feel rejected, or you may feel like the dream has died, whatever that feeling is, understand that this is the purification phase. This is when you are going to be heightened. If you can really be present in that grief, which is what this is, and you don't try to shove it under the rug, I think that you're going to be so much better off, and that you will fully grieve it. A lot of people don't allow themselves to grieve because they get busy and distracted on purpose. And maybe sometimes that's okay. Maybe that's part of their process. But being in that depth of emotion, even if it's like a sense of dejection, a sense of regret, all of those feelings of just sadness, it's okay. And it's something to really kind of embrace and let it flow through you, Let's just keep going. Yeah, well, it looks like this is probably not a physical death. This looks like somebody was being sneaky. Seven of Swords. Now, one thing I didn't say too is this could have been this could be a work situation where you lost your job and you found out that somebody orchestrated it. And that can feel, enraging. Maybe you mourn and then you get pissed off, The Seven of Swords can be somebody who is acting behind your back and doing these things, whatever these things are. And that's not cool, is it? So maybe that person is trying to make you do something. Well, it's not that they're trying to make you do something, but maybe they're trying to even steal from you. This can be a card of physical theft. But as far as I'm concerned, if somebody outmaneuvers you in something and you find out about it after the fact, like maybe they told lies about you to the boss and you got fired and you had a contract where they don't have to explain why they fired you. They just said, "Oh, we don't need you anymore," or something. And then you find out, oh yeah, they were kind of spreading lies, which is really what the Five of Swords is, especially majors in, or is kind of like more connected with. But the Seven of Swords, I would also say that as well, because swords themselves can be communication in general. But you've heard the phrase, using your words as a weapon. That's what slander is. That's what half-truths are. So something along those lines may have been the culprit in some kind of a negative situation, or even a person you were dating, and it might not have been all that serious, but you really enjoyed this person. And then all of a sudden they distance themselves from you, and you found out later that somebody was poisoning the well. The higher message is the Two of Swords. This is kind of like a crossroads in your life, perhaps. I think, sometimes this is a card of a stalemate where you and another person cannot agree on something. But I think this, for you, this is like a, what is that term that they use? That's kind of like, I was going to say crossroads. I don't know. Sometimes I can't think of the perfect word, because in college I studied linguistics, and that is something that is very interesting to me, gratifying, but anyway, it'll come to me later. Being at a crossroads, being at a time when maybe this is a pivotal moment where, here's the thing. You do have the North Node in Cancer right now, so the next 18 months, you probably are going to feel this sense of this being a special time for you, Cancer, where a lot of things seem to be happening that are kind of, it's not that I want to just say it's beyond your control, but they're destined to happen. And part of that destiny is for you to understand which direction you want to go in. And I think that this is a good time, specifically in the next 18 months, to really pay attention to symbolism, to things that come around you. And I just wanted to share with you a couple of things that have happened to me. I totally do not know anything about this stuff. So if you have any ideas, if you're familiar with maybe it's a indigenous, Native American type of religious beliefs that connect with symbols, natural symbols, like I don't know if you would call them animal totems, but these omens with animals coming to visit you. Because I've had two unusual experiences this past few months that I didn't know what to make of them, but they were very interesting. I looked them up and they gave me some ideas, but in one example, I was sitting in a park a few months ago and I had a hummingbird come to me, and from the corner of my eye it looked like a dragonfly. It was, because they're very small birds, but where I live, it's not like hummingbirds are everywhere, you know what I mean? It was crazy. And I was trying to take out my phone so I could take a picture or a video of it, and it flew away. But it was hovering very close to me. And it was right at the time that I was thinking of somebody who had crossed over. I didn't know this person personally, but my partner knew her. And so I was thinking about her and her daughter, and then this happened, and I was wondering if it was her. And I was looking up what the hummingbird represents, and I think it represents joy, because it's like this, you know, its wings are flapping very quickly, so it's like this quick vibration. And I don't know much more than that. And then I also had an experience with a grasshopper crawling, you know, this happened about a month ago, landing on my chest, crawling up, I was going to say crawling up on my girls. And, you know, I didn't know how far it was going to go up, if it was going to go in my face. I was still trying to decide whether it was even a grasshopper or some other kind of an insect, creepy crawly. And I love insects. I don't have a problem with them. So I was like, well, you know, it was hitching a ride on me. And I was just, you know, I thought it was kind of cool, but it just kept going upwards, and I didn't want it to go on my face because I didn't know what it was going to do next. So I think I shook it off or something. But I was very curious about that as well, because that doesn't happen. I mean, I've been around, and I don't even know, it was pretty, maybe it was a praying mantis. If that's the same, I don't know, maybe that's the same thing as a grasshopper. But it just, so that's that's a long story to talk about in your life with the North Node. Pay attention to these things, because you may get a lot of like little hints from the universe to try to direct you in a certain way to make the most of this, because things will happen. You know, you will have eclipses in both Cancer, your sign, and your opposite sign. You've already had one in the summer, and that's going to bring the change. And the Death card is representative of that as well. And then you will be able to make those better choices, but you might be at a crossroad. On the practical level, perfect that we have a Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles. So on the practical level, learning a new skill and, you know, perfecting your craft. This is particularly, I would say, not just like a hobby, but something that you're doing to make a profit from. I love this depiction of the Eight of Pentacles in this particular deck. I think it's wonderful. Some of them are a little bit hard to figure out, but some of them are very relatable. And this is also a powerful money time for you. So that's great. What's coming in is the Three of Wands. And this is a card of expansion. And actually, come to think of it, speaking of work matters and expansion, we're looking at a situation with Jupiter in Sagittarius now. And this is your 6th house of work, Cancer. So that's good. That could indicate that you are experiencing this kind of good fortune as well in expanding your work possibilities. I think in the next year that you will have more work than you know what to do with. The 6th house is, I think it's a great place to serve. So it may not be like your dream job sometimes, although I do feel that it is possible with a lot of energy in your, well, let's see, what is your 10th house? Aries? Well, your 10th house, I'll just say this, your 10th house is stabilizing, you know. Right now you have Uranus retrograding in that career sector. So it's possible you have both, it's in fire as well as your 6th house. Maybe you are going to have some kind of opportunity that slipped through your fingers immediately present itself. So be prepared for that, and, you know, believe that the universe is conspiring on your behalf. You may just feel like in relationships you want to explore more, that you're kind of tired of a relationship. And that can lead to people seeking to separate from partners, even long-term partners, because they feel like they're not growing anymore. And that's a legitimate reason to leave. The outcome is the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups can be reuniting with somebody, so, or forgiveness of someone. So I realized as I was saying this that I don't have to make everything conform to one theme. I mean, this could be like somebody else that you had a falling out with. Maybe you make up with them. And that would be nice, right? To make up with somebody that you have been on the outs with. But it could be simply that you have forgiven this individual and it allows you to move on with your life. And that also gives you peace of mind inside, because you're no longer being controlled by somebody else's, behavior. Okay. So I'm trying to... In every moment, the universe is conspiring to bring me toward right-minded thinking and the energy of love. So these are based on the Course in Miracles, and love is a big theme. Forgiveness is a big theme too. So that last tarot card I picked certainly resonates with that. And a right-minded thinking is understanding that everyone is just trying to be happy. And some people do heinous things in that quest, don't they? Heinous things. So it certainly isn't excusing that type of behavior, but it really is true that people want to be happy, and so they do certain things, and some of those things do not serve them. They really don't, and they don't realize that. So we have to forgive them for their spiritual ignorance and still wish them well and hope that they find themselves, and then we release ourselves, which is so wonderful. Okay, Cancer, I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. I'm offering a special on natal chart interpretations, hour-long readings, 20% off through the end of 2018. I have other readings as well. All the best to you. Take care. Bye.